Hello everybody, this is Gray Hughes. I am going to be just bringing up the Jodi Arias case again. This is the 3D model that I built a long time ago, maybe 4 years ago. Took me forever to make it. As you can see on the floor there, I actually took photos of where the blood was and replaced it on the tiles on the floor that I could locate. There might be some other images of blood somewhere else, but I think I've got most of it. I don't have it up here on the sink yet or anything like that. But hell, look at that. I even have the spent .25 caliber bullet laying in the blood there. I've got the door stop right there. And look at all these doors in this 3D model that I have actually open. There's even the little box of paper in there. Pretty crazy, huh? These all open up. I think this opens up that way. Yep, opens up that way. So all the doors open. I even have these doors open. Okay, so these doors actually open in like that as well. All right, so I just thought maybe I'd show you guys the model that I was able to work with, and if you look at that, you can actually see cameras in the scene, and I can select a camera and I can render a frame, and then you can just sort of see what it looks like. This was the previous one. I had way too much gloss and reflection on there. As you can see, you can actually see the window shades perfectly on there. Alright, so it's just going to render this one shot. Yeah, so you see that? It's really accurate. Okay? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you what my theory is and the motions that went on. Okay? I think, as you can see, I actually have Travis curled up in a ball when Jodi brought him back in and sort of stuffed him into the shower there. Okay? So Jodi had Travis take a shower. I think this is all planned. I actually believe, and I've come to believe, that I think that Jodi went there to make it look like a suicide. If you really go through and think about the scenario, I think that's exactly what she was trying to do. I think she was trying to hide the fact that she was even going to be there. She was using a gun that wasn't even registered. All she had to do, and she shot him in the right side of the forehead. She probably, wasn't really concerned about being absolutely precise, like shooting in the temple, or maybe Travis moved his head. She probably only had, it's possible that she'd only put one bullet in the gun because, she's clever, right? So she probably thought, if I put 2 bullets in, that would be suspicious because nobody would ever shoot a second time. All right, so maybe she put 1 bullet in, and when she shot, there just wasn't another bullet in it. She didn't have another one because she just thought it would kill him the first time. Okay, so while Travis was in the shower, she had him do all these different poses, and he was complying. I kind of picture it something like this. Jodi was, just lingering around, and finally Travis was like, okay, he went to take a shower, or was going to take a shower, and Jodi said, listen, I'll leave, just let me do one last thing. I know you really want me to take a picture of you with your new, you've been working out and so forth, and I know you really want me to do it. And Travis is like, geez, I don't want to. And then Travis is like, there's no way I'd let you take pictures of me based on what you've done to me in the past. There's some secrets and trust issues there. Jodi had done some things that made Travis suspicious of her. So she probably suggested, hey, how about I use your camera? Then you can control the images. So then he finally said, okay, all right, but you'll leave right after that, right? And she's, oh, yeah, of course. So he goes in the shower, and then she has him pose and actually do all the different poses, and he's complying and so forth. But I think when things change is when you see him in the seated position. I think at some point at near the very end of that, she pulled out the gun. The shower door was open the entire time, okay? See, there's still people out there that think, oh, well, you see those little dots, those spots, those are on the shower door. That's not true, okay? The shower door was open the entire photo shoot, if you will. And as a matter of fact, Jodi even said in one of the interrogation videos that, yes, the shower door was open. It was just weak shower pressure, and there's actually no reason to lie about that. And I actually believe that. I actually think that she does tell the truth sometimes when she knows it's not really, going to affect anything. And then she also told the truth by lying, basically those ninjas that we call them, one of the female ninjas. I think that when she was describing the movements of that female ninja, it was herself, and she made it. I have a video about that too, if you want to go check that one out. But it makes it easier to lie for somebody like that. You're basically telling the truth, but then you're assigning the motions and movements to somebody else, and then you sound credible. All right. So she had him take a shower. They were just doing a little photo shoot. Then she pulls out the gun, has him seated, and at that point he's seated about like this, with his head up over here. Like somebody would sit in a shower. Okay. And then she shot him in the head. Just kind of stepped right up there and shot him straight in the head. And then I think she thought it would kill him. But Travis survived the gunshot. There's still people out there that actually believe the knife was first. Makes absolutely no sense. Okay, so he survived the gunshot, and then he crawls. He gets out of the shower. And at this point, blood isn't really pouring out of anywhere. Okay, so he's in the shower, he gets up, and he kind of maybe even tries to stand up, and then he falls down and he crawls, and then right here he spits up a lot of blood that was in his mouth. Okay, because now it's building up in the nasal cavity. His mouth keeps filling up with blood, so he spits out a large chunk of blood there, over here, and then maybe coughs up. Before we get over here, let's say this. He's actually over here, and there's actually some blood spatter. It's been so long since I've gone through this, but I can kind of remember it. Right in this area, he aspirated blood. Now, whether he, coughed it or spit it up right here, but there's blood all over the side of this door frame right here. And there's a little bit on the side of the tub there, but most of it's on the door frame. And then there's even a couple droplets on the toilet back there, okay? Then he spits up some blood right here. Now, he could have spit this up first, and then maybe he turned his head and spit over there. But at this point, he's on all fours. He's really low to the ground. Okay, and then you can kind of make out this little trail right here. You see, so he's over here, and then there's this trail, and it actually goes over and under these scales. See, these scales, I don't believe were even there originally. I think she put them here. Maybe one of these was here, like this one, okay? But I think they found blood underneath this scale right there. Okay, so again, remember, this is all just my memory from 2 or 3 years ago. So there's droplets there, and there's little droplets all over the place here. One report says there's blood spatter all over this blind right there, but then there's no other reference to it at all. The blood spatter expert didn't talk about it. The only person who mentioned it was Flores in a report. Okay. So I think Jodi's still kind of lingering around while Travis is crawling here, maybe trying to, kick him. She's kind of listening to him like, God, he's not dying. He's not dying. He's not dying. So at this point, while Travis is still just kind of right here, she runs. Now look how close the kitchen is. I actually believe this is true in her story. See, she weaved in some truths, but remember, she made up a different story of how the knife got upstairs, okay? Some cockamamie, we were, trying to figure out a rope to tie me to the bed, so he had to extend it way down the hallway, And then we cut it with a knife, and then he left the knife in the kitchen. It was, meaning the bathroom, and it was just a joke, all right? But look how close this is. So Jodi then runs, right? And then opens up one of these two doors. Then at this point just runs right down these stairs. And at the bottom of the stair, the kitchen would be like right here, and there's a knife right there. And then she just runs right back up, slams this door as she's coming in. And she might have even shut this as she went through it, because she'd want to slow up Travis if Travis somehow was able to come down. But Travis at this point is very disoriented, okay? So right now he's standing up at the sink, and he dripped a lot of blood in the sink, and then he spit up some blood that went back here on the backsplash right there. All right? And you can actually see these passive drops that lead straight from over here in this corner like this, just like how we would get up, that drip in like this, go into the sink, and then he coughs up. Now, I think Jodi, after returning from downstairs really quickly, she could probably do that in 20 seconds, all right? Comes back, runs down the hall, and then meets Travis right here at the sink. He turns, and then she stabs at him, okay? And he gets the defensive wounds on his hands. And then she gets one stab in to the chest that got into the vena cava that we've all heard about, right? And then the blood's really starting to come from the gunshot wound to his head, and he spits up some blood right here. Now, one of these may be some pooling from when he was dragged back, but I don't know. I don't think so. I think this is all just part of this big barrage and attack right here. So, she attacks him here, and then he gets on all fours and maybe crawls down the hall at this point. Let me show you what I think maybe he crawled like. So watch this one right here. He's a little bit like this, right? Crawling like that. And he's about right in this area. And, the thing is I think later on, now I'm remembering, I think later on I determined that Exhibit 162 was actually shot prior, obviously, than 163, but 163 is further down the hallway. So I think that he was, crawling down here. He got maybe he was on his back, still struggling, and that's when we see that one shot where you see his shoe, okay? And then I think even after that, he crawled like that, and he was trying to get out down the hall here. And she just kind of jumped on his back right in this area and slit his throat. Okay, and now you can see, like, this is actually the real blood spatter pattern, and that's his head imprint right there. And this is obviously blood that came out of his neck. Now there's this one little pattern you see right there that's either arterial spray or the cast off from drawing the knife back. Okay, but prior to that, I think he was stabbed in the back a bunch of times. She was basically just sitting on his butt, almost Travis's butt, and just stabbing him. And she stabbed him, let's see, I think it was 8 times with the left hand, and then she switched over to the right hand for 1. I'll actually even show this on this. You see that? Now imagine her sit. This is the back of Travis's neck right here. So imagine Jodi sitting kind of on his lower half, and with her left hand. Now you place a knife in your hand, and you can see that striking down creates that angle right there. Okay. And then there's even this shallow one here. So, I guess it's possible that shallow one was when it hit maybe a bone a little bit earlier on, and her hand may have slipped. Let's say that's when she cut her finger right there. It slipped right there, and then she puts the knife in her right hand and does that one stab, the purple one right there. Okay, then she just got tired of doing all that, and then she pulled his head back and then slit his throat. Okay, and perhaps maybe he tried to get up one last time. There's this big swoosh against the wall right there, and then he just got really dizzy because of the massive blood loss, and he just went boom, and he landed right there. Then at this point, she flips him over and then drags him all the way down the hall. Now, see, I actually have a camera right here because this is the location of the camera. I think this is the location of the shot 162. I can't remember if this was updated or not because I made a whole video on Exhibit 162 that you should all go watch. It's the newer one. There was one I made a long time ago that really kind of blows compared to the new one, using the image from Juan Martinez's book. Okay, I don't agree with Juan Martinez at all on his theory on how Travis was, the killing part of it, his sequencing. I think that the prosecution actually changed their own beliefs and sequencing after Jodi switched to self-defense. In August 2009, which is 14 months after the murder, the prosecution argued in court that the gunshot was first. Okay? Then, when Jodi switched to self-defense, and they knew that she also was going to say that the gunshot was first, they then changed the sequencing because they didn't want to give Jodi anything. All right, and they had to use some pretty, I call it sort of shady techniques to change the sequencing. Now, everyone knows that she planned the murder, okay? And, it's really obvious. Maybe only people like George Barwood actually believe that she didn't commit this murder. I'm very convinced that they had Kevin Horn not tell the truth on the stand. I don't want to use the word lie. Okay? He actually said that he doesn't remember ever speaking to Detective Flores about the case. This huge case. He doesn't remember ever speaking to Flores. However, Flores, on 3 different occasions, remembers specifically Dr. Horn saying that the gunshot was first and that he would not have been immediately incapacitated. And then at trial, Flores said that he wasn't inaccurate. He was just mistaken on his recollection of what Horn told him. So basically, I think that Flores is sort of the fall guy. He's the one that has to say, "Oh, I remember what Horn told me, but I inaccurately remember it." And then Horn just says, "I don't remember." I actually think Nerney should have said to Horn, "So do you have a memory problem?" Something that Martinez said to Arias about 1,000 times, okay? Because him not remembering ever speaking to Flores is insane. There's no chance that happened, okay? And, it's funny because even during the trial, you hear Horn say, "I think I even said right here that he wouldn't have been immediately incapacitated." And then he kind of looks over at Juan and goes, no, of course you wouldn't have been incapacitated because he was he just mumbled on after that. Okay, but everybody just gave them a pass on that kind of stuff. And I don't understand that. You have all these, people that just wonderful. Everybody thinks that the prosecution was the greatest ever. And the thing is there's a lot of kind of crazy stuff in there. Even the blood spatter expert, she couldn't give you a definite answer on anything, but was so sure that the gunshot was last because the .25 caliber shell was on top of blood. Okay, so it was on top of it, as if there's no other explanation at all on how a shell can get on top of a little tiny pool of blood like that, with all the motion going on in that bathroom. There's just no other way, right? Okay, so we all know Jodi did it, and we all know she planned it, and we all know that she got exactly, she probably deserved the death penalty, but she didn't get that, and all that. But I remember going through all this stuff the gunshot being first and getting so much hell for it. It was like, I mean, this is the third case. Right now, the Kanika Jenkins case that I'm working on is the fourth case that I've worked on that, because I have a differing opinion, I am some sort of outcast, and it's ridiculous. What I've noticed, though, is in the Arias case, most people I talk to now believe the gunshot was first. And it's funny, because if they believe that, then what do they think about Juan's story? The one he told at trial. I mean, his version of how the murder went down was, I thought it was actually embarrassing to listen to.
Oh, yeah, she's looking down on him. He's looking into her eyes, and she's cutting down on his chin. The cut people think is on his neck isn't actually on his neck. It's on his chin. It's right underneath his chin. I think she pulled his head back and blindly cut, because she actually starts cutting just below the chin bone and then goes all the way in there, and that's why it looks so deep. Okay? And she ends up cutting, almost cut his head off, which is crazy. I mean, this girl was absolutely nuts. All right? And she wasn't a little frail person like everybody always, like she tried to make it look like at trial that she was some real frail person. And that's just not true at all. She's actually quite a bit, she's stocky almost. I mean, look at this. Like Laura Croftish. She's strong, got muscles. She's not some little timid person. Now here's what a 25 caliber looks like. Okay, they're tiny, and the thing is they jam really easily, and you can just tell. And they're weak guns too. They don't have a lot of power to them, and the bullet even stayed in his head, and that's why he survived the gunshot. And the thing is I know some really respected attorneys out there, and personalities that are on TV that also believe the gunshot was first, and they're like just as convinced as I am. They absolutely know it to be true. I mean, that's how I feel. I actually feel that I am 100% sure that the gunshot was first. I don't have any doubt. Okay. Now there's also the question about the dura mater. It's a thick, leathery-like membrane that protects the brain, and that was intact according to his autopsy. Okay, and it was actually a jury member who said, "Well, how was his dura mater intact if the gunshot hit his brain?" And then Horn was like, "Oh, let me go look. Oh, okay, yeah, that was a typo. That's a typo." And so, and then you get all these people on social media saying, "Well, that was an autofill, Gray. Don't you get it? That's an autofill." That's when Wilmot was actually asking him questions. And she did a decent job in that segment, but then she let him off the hook, which was just, oh man. She seemed almost like she was attracted to Horn. So she got a little bit like Gaga eyes. It was really weird, some of the comments she was actually making. So let me think. There was another part I was going to bring up about Horn too, is he tried to oversell the amount of decomposition. If you read the autopsy, Horn states that he could not see a track of the bullet through the brain, but that observation was somewhat limited due to decomposition. Okay, now the word somewhat means, mildly. Like, oh, it was somewhat, I can't be 100% sure because, there was some decomposition, but the brain had good symmetry and there was no gunshot track in the brain. Okay, and he also did serial cross-sections to determine this. So what that means is he takes the brain out, okay, and then like cutting this is kind of gross, but let's say Jello, or you take slices and you look to see if you can find the track of the bullet, and there was none.
Okay, and that's what he stated on the autopsy. And, to me that means he's pretty sure that there's no gunshot track, and it was somewhat limited due to decomposition. So, he can't be 100% sure. But at trial, he made it sound like he said, well, at this point, the brain's non-existent. It's been completely liquefied. It's non-existent. You can't examine it, he said. And then Wilmot said, you can't examine it. You did serial cross-sections. And then Horn said, oh, wait, let me look. And he kind of looked nervous, and he flipped through his autopsy, and he said, oh, okay, so it's present, it's just softened. And then he spent the next 10 minutes reliquefying it by, verbal gymnastics. It was incredible, okay? She should have cut off the questioning right then, because I don't know why people give Horn an out for that. What he did right there was totally unethical. I consider that to be a lie, because he said at this point it's non-existent, okay, and you can't even examine it. But that's not true, okay. We already know that's not true because he did serial cross sections. He said he wasn't able to see, there was good symmetry, and he was unable to see a gunshot track through the brain after doing the serial cross sections, and now he says it's non-existent. At this point, it's liquid. Okay? I don't give him a break. I think that was him trying to oversell that point. And, because at trial, when they switched to knife first, they said that the gunshot had to have gone through his brain. Okay? And I don't know. I think when you look at the actual angle, it's very close. It's like he even made it a point to bring up the age, because I guess when you're a little bit older, your brain, I guess, goes further into that space, and he really needed to bring that up because it's so close that if you're a little younger, you would miss the brain altogether. It would pass right in front, and then it would go through the nasal cavity and lodge in the cheek. Now, I wish I could actually show, I think I have some images of this. Like here's an example. It's kind of like this, Yeah, so the bullet came in, and there's the brain right there. You see, look at that, how close that actually comes. Now, why he didn't do the thing where you put the rod in and sort of push it through and that kind of thing, I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me why he wouldn't do that. Okay, now I made another video out there called, Gunshot First. You can go check that out. It has a better explanation of that kind of information. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just kind of winging through this, just kind of remembering things as I go. This is a good one to look at too, right here. So this is kind of how the brain looks, right? So this is the dura mater right here. Now, if he got shot just above the right eye, in the forehead. So I would say about right here, and then the bullet was found down in this location, right in there. So it would come down, and look how close. It's possible it missed the brain. You see, it would go in right there. Now, sure, the shock wave would have caused, some disruption and disoriented him. But I don't think it would have actually, it wouldn't have actually physically damaged it in terms of, creating a hole in it. Now, the shock wave itself might have damaged something, and he did say he couldn't feel his legs at some point. I believe that part of Jodi's story. She was trying to bring in some more information there. See, I think that's where Flores really blew it in those interrogations. He should have absolutely kept letting her tell her story and kept further asking questions, and knowing all the time that the girl ninja, the female ninja, would actually be Jodi, and he could have probably got more information. from that, but he just kind of gave up, which is, I guess that's sort of understandable, but, And then here's another one. So this is a 3D image that I have. Now, see the bullet right there? It goes in. And you can see that track. This part here is actually way back there. It actually would go right underneath the right lobe and then down, So when you look at a side shot, you're actually seeing this, frontal lobe area right here protrude, but there's this little indentation here. Now, if you shot right through there, it would go underneath that, miss the frontal lobe, the frontal portion of the frontal lobe. There's this little indentation, if you go look at a brain, right in that spot. So it would go underneath there, and then the bullet was lodged, I guess, right in this area. So, I don't know. I think the gunshot, I know for sure. I am 100% sure that the gunshot was first. Okay? And when I say I don't know, I don't understand why so many people can't see that. And merely because of what Horn said at trial when he changed from gunshot to knife first. Everything changed. Doesn't match what he said at trial, does not match what the autopsy says. And the fact that the bullet was on top of a little tiny puddle of blood. So therefore, it has to mean that the gunshot was second and the knives were first. But it just doesn't make sense. Why would a woman who has a gun with her go there and try to kill somebody with a knife? Okay, a guy that's way bigger than her. All right, even though she's strong, he could have fought through a knife if that was first. But it wasn't. Okay, and also, if you go with my suicide theory, the gunshot would be first. And I think she just went and improvised, got the knife, and used it. Okay, and then, after she, cut his throat and he died, she may have even let him die there and then deleted some images off the camera. Now, keep in mind, her finger was cut, so she would have bled all over the camera. And then she, she actually literally sat there and deleted all the images she had taken that day. Some people think Jodi accidentally left the camera there, that she really meant to take it, but it got caught up in the sheets when she put it in the wash machine. The truth is that she intended to take the camera with her, and we know this because she sat there and deleted the images. Why would you waste that valuable time deleting images on a camera that you were going to take with you? So this is all part of the suicide plan that she meant to do. Okay, but now she added bleach and other things to the wash because her blood is now in there because Travis survived. I think the only reason she has first-degree murder is because Travis survived. I think she could have somehow, and if she had taken that card, she might not have even had be in jail right now whatsoever. It would just purely be circumstantial, but it's not circumstantial at all. She admits to doing it and everything. Okay, so basically, after she deletes images from the camera, or she could have even done that after this next situation, but she dragged him feet first all the way around, and you can even see right here there's a blood stain that goes around the corner here, and there's even hair from, I think, Travis's head that came off because he had knife wounds on his head, and those got deposited right here on the door frame. And then she dragged him feet first, and then she probably dragged him, holding him like a wheelbarrow backwards, and got his feet in there, and then just kind of lifted up his upper body and then stuffed him in right there. Okay, and then she did some cleanup work. Like this mat was actually right here, and she moved it over here. So it's possible that there was actually blood, because underneath this mat there's a lot of blood. So, when Travis was crawling here, it's possible that there was actually more blood right here that she just covered up. Because remember, there's that spray, mist from aspirated blood right here. Now that I'm remembering, I can't remember if she called that an impact blood spatter. Right there. Yeah, I can't remember. I thought she did say that, which would mean that his head got hit and then blood was transferred onto the molding there. And if he got hit, that means Jodi was still walking around trying to get him to die, and it just wasn't working. And then Travis was bleeding quite a bit as he came around here. But regardless, she killed him, and then she drug him into the shower here, and there's a whole bunch of blood on the like a pattern of blood here where it looks like she was standing with her bloody socks that she had on. And then somehow she was able to go out and go downstairs without really putting much blood at all. And she went down into the lower level, and I guess they found a little bit of blood in the bathroom downstairs, something like that. But anyway, she left and left this door shut here, and then she put her dog, Travis's dog, behind a gate downstairs so that he wouldn't be upstairs looking, barking or whatever. Okay. Well, anyways, that's just kind of what I remember, and I thought I'd just throw that out there right now. But, yeah, the gunshot was definitely first. Okay. Well, I guess until next time, I will talk to you later.